M, Neighborhood Restoration and Beautification Commission. We'll start with roll call.
Lucas Richardson.
Here.
Kathleen Grabowski.
Here.
Jess Stallings.
Here.
Mary Kay Wilkosh.
Here.
And Jermaine is absent.
Public comment on agenda-related items. Is there public comment? Next item is the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or comments? I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the meeting minutes from July 17th, 2023. I'll make a motion to approve as is.
I'll second.
Voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next item. I don't know if it's proper, I don't think it's proper for me to do the elections. I don't know if this is something that you could take from here, Josh, for this item. Because I potentially am not the chair at this point.
Okay, let's pull up the bylaws.
Okay. And does Jermaine need to be here for that?
Mhm.
I didn't know she had a vote in it or not.
She does, but
But it
we
doesn't
have,
matter.
yeah, we have a quorum. We had talked about bringing the elections back on once we had a new member, and Jess has been here for a meeting there, so.
Hi, Jess.
So what you're proposing is instead of having elections when the terms end, reassigning them because we have a new member? Do I understand that?
Yes, in a past commission meeting, we discussed tabling the elections until we had a fifth member. And now I put it on the agenda for this meeting, and then the terms would be ending in April because that's when all of our terms cycle. So it's a shorter term, but I wanted to kind of get it back in line. It
Well-
kind of made sense.
So it's not appropriate for me to spearhead this. What it would be is, you're talking about chair, vice chair. Someone from this committee would nominate someone for position, and then you would vote on it.
Okay. So I can.
I can't nominate anyone.
No, I know in council meetings, this is like the meeting where Heather, usually, the city clerk usually runs it, so I didn't know if I was still able to kind of.
I think so. If we're looking for positions, I think it's a matter of, like, for example, just using an example, chair, if this group nominates someone for a chair, then there would be, you would vote on that nomination, then vote on whether or not you want that person. So, and you're saying you want to move forward without our fifth member here?
I mean, we could table it again,
I think we should wait for Jermaine.
I think it would probably be more appropriate to have it when you have a full commission here. The way it goes in council is that, and we have to look to see who appoints these positions, and that's why I think the bylaw are so important. Why don't we, my recommendation is, why don't we table it and do a little homework on it and the process? I'm trying to think, I think the last time there was just a nomination, and so I think someone said, I nominate Lucas as the chair, and then we vote on it. But let's do two things. I think maybe I would recommend you table it so you have a full commission for this process. Then we can double check the bylaws and make sure that we're doing things appropriately.
Here's the,
is there a motion for that?
I'll make that motion to table.
there's the,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Just real quick, here's a matter of record. It says the commission shall elect the following officers, and it lists the chair, vice chair, and secretary. The election shall take place during the first meeting after April 30th each calendar year and shall be for a 1-year term. See, term, the officers shall take office at the start of the regular meeting following their selection. And then it just lists jobs and responsibilities. So as far as the process, I don't think it gives us any more specific direction than that. So, but we could take a look at the proper process, and if we're voting on something, it would probably be a better idea just to have all members here.
Moving on. Community service day debrief. So I wasn't able to attend, but how did Hancock Street go?
It went really good. We had, a nice amount of workers. There was, of course, the Deaches, and then I think 3 or 4 of my friends from church. And, we actually, we finished up probably within a couple hours.
Nice, it looks really nice.
Yes, it does.
Thank you so much.
It's really nice.
I keep driving by and I'm like, oh.
And painting.
Yeah, we probably would like to go back in a year and keep those bushes off the sidewalk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And it won't be so much all at once.
Yeah, for sure. It
But,
looks great. I didn't
oh,
even realize
thank
that
you.
railing was there.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it went, everybody, did a good job and we accomplished what we set out to.
Perfect.
Good.
Thank you, Kathy.
Were we able to add those people that showed up to our list?
Well, the Deaches are already on the list, I believe. I haven't seen the church people since. I'll go see them tonight and I will ask which ones. I know one said they would stay on the list.
Awesome.
But, you know, I mean, it's hot, it's hard work. And there was one there, it was like 70 and it's, you know, it's, I don't wanna ask them right after they're sitting there with all that sweat. I wanna wait till they've had time to rest.
It's coming when it's nice
Yeah,
and
so
cool.
I'm gonna be bringing, I don't have the sign-up sheets, but I did have everybody sign the sign-up sheet. I think it's in Jermaine's back of her vehicle. We all just kinda gathered stuff at the end and rode with it.
You're talking about the waivers?
Yes, yes. And we returned some of the stuff to Josh, but we still have a can of paint
Okay.
at the homes.
Yeah, from my point of view, everything went really well. What would really help me out is if we had a list of all the items that the group wants me to bring to those projects. I won't be able to be at every single project probably. So if I just have a list of 2 rakes, this and that, I can just go down there, grab it. On this project, because of staffing issues, I was running behind.
That way you'd have it ahead of time.
But
and not have to-
once I got there, I realized, I probably should have grabbed this, that, and the other. So just having something on a piece of paper would really help guide me.
Right.
Maybe we could do a
And then-
checklist and then whoever has that month, they can just
Yeah.
check off exactly what we need.
We talked about that with our scope, that, you know, this is the scope and this is what we need. And then I think we could use that checklist as the end of project to make sure that we've recouped all of our tools. Not that anybody would take it, but listen, some of the tools look the same, easy to walk away with some, you know.
On that scope of work, it says what you want, but you
That's-
have to.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to find right
That
now.
last one, labeling everything too, just like once we get it there, just labeling it, because there were some things that were similar to others or
Yeah.
whatever, so.
And most of our initial equipment has NRBC written on it, but,
Is it? Okay.
like we have a wheelbarrow and we have different things, and so it would just help me if someone would submit me a piece of paper that says, bring 3 rakes to this, that.
Scope of work, there's a list, they can put it right
So
there.
the
Yeah.
process maybe needs to be tweaked a little bit to make
Perfect,
sure
yeah.
that he
Yeah.
gets it beforehand.
Okay.
Okay. Mary, could you send me the actual Word document of that, so I just have it in my files too?
I might tweak it just to add that more specific.
Okay.
But yeah, you guys made short work pretty quick. I mean, got after it and made a pretty significant difference, so should be proud.
Great. Okay. Anything else on debrief? Good job.
I think we're a great idea, by the way. The food and water.
Oh, thank you. I just picked up a pack of water and ran over to Wesco and dumped ice on it and had the cooler right out there with the crowd, so, yeah.
We talked about that in a lot of meetings on, if
It's
we're
all
gonna
on-
have volunteers, we better,
Buy
make sure we're gonna keep them.
It was, we said, no, it's too hot to work without water, cold water.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Next item, and this is the only reason this is on the agenda is because, I think two things. One, I wanted to, say thank you on our meeting. Katie did awesome. The public feedback on those murals is just amazing. And I've already seen a lot of interest in people saying, how do we do this? And it would be good to, let the public know that, to reach out to us and we can kind of coordinate those efforts. And coincidentally, this morning, the city manager and Councilmember Bachman received an email from somebody that's interested, so that we might have another person come into one of our meetings and kind of give their pitch and give us a sketch or something of what they want to do.
Probably could be on our social media,
Mm-hmm.
always on there if somebody's interested. And that's something Jermaine can probably add on for us, because she's taking care of that.
Do you want to reach out to her about that?
Can I also add something here? I think that we should physically write a thank you to Katie on behalf of all of us. for putting that
Definitely.
Mural together, so, do you want to take care of that?
I can take it.
Mary, you'll give them the address, or give it to Mary to give it to her?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Originally, we were, last year we were thinking, man, this would be a cool idea. We'll see if something happens, and I hope we get a bunch of different artists and fill the whole wall.
Oh,
That
gosh,
would be,
me too, yeah.
that'd be really special, I think, so.
She said there's very clear lines, like cracks in that would kind of denote
Yeah.
different spaces
Oh, nice.
to keep going. So,
If this commission wants to pursue murals in the future, I would recommend having some type of policy or procedure that would guide this group of how an artist is selected or how a canvas is selected or something objective standards to which drive our decision making.
We just have to resurrect it and pick out and
Yeah.
choose which one we want to use.
Yeah.
See by which standards we make decisions and,
Oh, 'cause we do
Okay.
know all that.
yeah.
Okay. Next item, volunteer recruitment. I can't remember if it was last meeting or 2 meetings ago, but we have the list was sent out. I just got back from a few other people, so I'm gonna keep adding to this and then I'll get it to you and Mary. But just a reminder, if anyone else has additional names for the volunteer list to chip them to you.
I should have some tonight, yes.
We bought vests for our volunteers because they're high vis, but we have some volunteers that come to almost every project. What does this group think about getting high visibility t-shirts made for our long-term volunteers and they can go home, wash and bring them to every project versus us giving out vests and collecting them every time? Yeah, if it's the first time someone doing something, but what's this group think about designing a t-shirt for our volunteers? Just open for discussion.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think we'd probably have to check with George to see if that would be okay to kind of give something out with the public funds, but I think that's kind of why we went the vest route.
It'll be the same as the vest, that they stop volunteer, we expect them to turn it in, but
Yeah.
Right.
it'd be nice to put it on the volunteers that maintain it, or, I don't know. Maybe that's something that could be used as a recruiting pitch to say, hey, we'll get your own t-shirt, and, I don't know. Looking in terms of recruitment, how do we incentivize people to help?
Yeah, no, that's
How
a
do
good
we-
idea.
how do
And it
we
would be an
get-
advertisement too, or if they wear it outside of volunteering.
And then in that same vein, recruitment, retention, which for other reasons is heavy in my mind, but if this group has thought about having some type of event at the end of the year or something to acknowledge our volunteers. Just something to think about, and when that would, what time of year that would happen, or whatever it might be. Just something to think about just for recruitment and retention. Like a volunteer appreciation or what it might be, but just something, as I hate to say it, but as the warm weather begins to come to an end and fall gets here and really our projects stop, maybe start thinking about if this commission wants to do anything for our volunteers, like an event or appreciation or something, so. I don't think we do anything. I think October's pretty much when we stopped doing projects last year, I think. So,
Yeah, right now, I think that's still what we had planned, because we had talked about August and September having days, but we might have, I think somebody might have actually had October too. Was
it's
it?
probably weather dependent, I would imagine, but just something to think about when things wind down, what this commission shifts their focus to.
Okay. Any ideas on social media posting, anything new?
Jermaine said she has some good ideas coming up, so she's just been handling it. So if you see, it's been going out quite regularly.
Okay. I think we should get out, and this is the next item, but get out the next event, probably this week, to let people know. You know, it's 2.5 weeks out in advance, so maybe that'll be a good time. And then we can do it twice, maybe. So I can work on that with you,
Okay.
Mary.
Yours is August, you have the August project,
Yep.
and it's 2 days in August?
Yeah, I think from here on out, we should definitely just establish the 2 days, just because we've had some bad luck on rain
Yeah, sure.
a few times. And, so moving on to that item, my project would be to clean up the areas where these new city entrance signs are gonna go. Don't think they're gonna be installed by this date, but we can still clean up the couple, areas.
Or will we do them both at the same time?
I think so, yeah. Yep, and then we also will be moving all of the, what are they called? Like public clubs and, service group, signs on by the family fair there. We're gonna move all of those to a different location, cause that's gonna get pulled, that big black sign. That's where one of the new signs is gonna go at 12th and 31. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll fill out that list whenever you revise it, and then we should be set for that date, and then maybe sometime later, when they have, the signs installed, that's when we can kind of plan to see if we can be involved with planting all the plants and landscaping that are gonna go around them.
Okay.
That's all I have on that. Anyone else have comments?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm in the right category, but I can ask now. Is it a possibility, or what we ran into before, the senior center has some jobs, and they're not private. They're locally and county and city funded. Remember when we ran into don't,
Yeah, but the
do
senior
it.
center has projects, what does that mean?
they would like us to help them out.
Okay. And the projects are in the senior center property or just throughout town?
At the senior center property on St. Mary's Parkway.
Okay. I guess maybe just, do you have an idea what kind of projects those are, what the scope
Well,
is?
that fountain for one, they wanna see what we can do with that outdoor fountain and clean it up and possibly get it to work and, clean around it, maybe power wash it or paint it or, I was thinking of who I might know, but you're an engineer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And, you know, they just thought that, you know, and I mean, that's something we could do even in, if the weather stays nice, as a last fall project. They do a lot for the people. And they, I don't see, at first Jermaine asked me to ask them, and then when all that came down about some of the projects we were doing were not agreed upon, then she said she didn't know, but I had already asked them. And they were all excited. So now I'm kinda stuck.
Maybe just get a list of what projects you're looking at and what resources it would take for those projects and bring it to the commission, and the commission can vote on whether that's something they want to pursue this fall. It's
Okay.
probably the easiest path to do it.
Okay. Because, yeah, I told them, I said, now, you know, we're getting to the near end of the season. So we might not be able to just maybe touch upon your projects for this year. You know what I mean? But yeah, they do a tremendous amount of things for the elderly. And I think that would be a community project. So, that's all I know. If you're interested.
Yeah, I think like Chief said, just bring a scope of work and what resources are needed, and
Okay.
'cause it's hard for us to kind of talk about something that we don't really know
You
like
don't see
exactly.
it,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, I will do that this week.
I think I know where the fountain is that you're talking about, but I
Yes.
don't know what that all entails. You know, it might entail hiring someone, you know.
Yes, I was trying to think of someone that I knew that maybe would be versed in that, and then of course I knew that you knew some things about it, and then I was trying to think of someone who knew a little plumbing thing, and but they would be thrilled if we could fix that up. Thank you.
Okay. So I just leave this item on the agenda just in case we need to talk about anything we need. Was there anything from the last volunteer event that we need to buy that thought of, or did it seem like we were pretty prepared?
Oh, we need to put, that Josh's friend on there. Oh, wow, she is a really good worker and used to be a, she used to be a landscaper.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, she was great.
She was like fantastic. Is she gonna be all the time? I kinda mentioned.
She's not really my friend. I don't really know her. I just know her because she used to work at the jail. So I would recommend someone reach out to her, and
Okay,
I would second. She seemed to work really great, and anybody who wants to volunteer their time for free
good,
says
she's
something
gonna
to
do
me.
enough.
Yeah.
Does she have a business currently then? A landscaping business, do you know?
I'm not
I have
sure.
no idea.
Because the other thing with that is like, people like that who are helping, can we plug them on social media? Can we do the before and after and then plug their social media or plug them in general? Are we allowed to do that?
I don't think we can promote their business.
No?
I see what you're trying to do, tip your hat, say, hey, thank you, but I don't think we can promote their business. We can promote individuals, I mean, certainly. Thank you to
just get it.
John Smith for,
Just get
Yeah.
it from her later.
Okay. All right, yeah, that's right, she really did.
she seemed to have fun.
She did, yeah, she got along with
Yeah,
everybody.
she was the only
great.
one
She was fun.
smiling.
Yeah. We're like sweating, she's
We're
like,
trying to breathe.
So anything that we needed to talk about buying, any equipment or?
We bought a pole saw. We
did
bought
buy
a
the
pole
pole
saw
saw.
and gas cans.
Last time.
There was a talk about maybe we need more rakes, maybe we have to evaluate that in our next project. We have, we have a lot, but
Do we have an edger?
we do.
Sure.
It's gas powered and it's pretty aggressive. Maybe it was a conversation that we might have needed more rakes. I'm not sure if it was specific to that project, but maybe we can reevaluate that. I thought we bought,
Mitch had to run home and get somebody to do.
I think we bought, we might have bought one of
Probably
each.
have one or two rakes and shovels.
You know.
Couple people ran for rakes.
Sure. Well, when you start getting that many volunteers, you know, this is a good problem to have. We don't have enough equipment for the volunteers, so maybe we need to start adjusting depending on the project.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So you and Jess are the only two left with the project?
Keep getting put on the spot for this.
Oh,
I think Jermaine was gonna do one of them as well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just know that I'm doing August.
Okay, okay.
All right. Police department, anything? Josh?
just the previous ones that I keep saying.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, this commission has said that the scope of helping out people would be those who can't physically do it or those who can't financially do it. And, yeah, we still have those two houses that we've, that still need some resources. We've tried different things, nothing has really stuck, so.
What's the backstory on that? Because we kind of only touched on it last time we were here, and I don't know.
These two, well, two of them, they need new siding.
Okay.
And again, when the genesis of this group was, okay, you know, you have to be careful with public funds, but we're not talking about using funds, we're talking about resources assisting. And the criteria this group determined was if someone can't physically remedy their blight or financially, and so we had one-on-one with the police officers who talked to them and found out their situation, and we came up with different groups that might fit those. And I'm sure there's a few more.
And otherwise, it was gonna go through the blight enforcement process.
Yeah.
Because if they're able to do so, then they should be doing so. We're not gonna just go and help someone out that,
Right.
And so there's one house
the volunteers, basically.
that we tried and they didn't qualify financially, and then we tried to work with the land bank, and we found out with the land bank that the residence has to be unoccupied, and so we just kept swinging and to get new siding, 'cause I mean, that's a pretty significant cost, as everyone knows, so. I can take a look again and see if, you know, but I don't remember the officer saying anything about, you know, junk on your property, and the majority of the time, it's just a matter of the homeowner being able to coordinate resources. But again, we're talking something different when it comes to siding or a roof or something like that. So those two houses I would recommend, just continue to find different ways to address them or to help out.
I spoke with Tracy Davis, and Tracy said she's hoping that in the month of August, there will be something coming, and if there is, she'll contact us to come and discuss it.
Okay.
So we'll wait and see.
Okay.
And I know the city's pursuing, or starting to work on the blight grant that we received last year, right? Like some of the demolition and the
The
land
city's
bank
not,
stuff.
the land bank.
Or the land bank is, yeah.
Those properties turned over to the land bank, and one was 530 Davis. I could say this because they're public property. One was 1001 Kosciuszko, and then we had a private owner who took advantage of that as well. And so, and then the second round, there's a building in the city, but, so just continuing to identify these resources, and, you know, there's probably half a dozen houses that legitimately need to be tore down in town, and that's a conservative estimate. And so the direction to our officers is, hey, you know, if they're not being compliant, let's get court orders and let's figure out how we can fund these. But again, as our staffing levels of police department drop, so do our efforts. I mean, so, but we've got a couple of houses that we think that we'd like to have court orders to demolish them, so the problem we can sit here and find out is, okay, let's tear this house down. Now that we have a court order, let's figure out how to finance it, and so that's kind of where we're at from a police department standpoint. I mean, just to give you some perspective, there's a house on 8th Street that our officer's been dealing with for 3 years because it's changed hands so many times. 3 years, and our officers don't have that kind of time, and so one of the challenges of blight enforcement is when it comes to structures, because it's a whole different enforcement deal. So it's not a matter of junk vehicles or trash in the yard or the typical things you think about. When it comes to structures, you have to work with the business owners and then work with Safe Built, whoever's doing Safe Built for permitting, to make sure they have permitting. And then if it's a rental, so there's been a lot of challenges there. It's not a great path for police officers to enforce blight structures, because every time that, these houses continue to sell, and we have to track down the new owners to give them due process service so they can come to court. So it absorbs a lot of our police officers' time, these blighted structures. So hopefully the city moving forward can create a better path for speaking specifically about the structures. Like I said, one officer's 3 years in the same house because it keeps changing hands and we keep going to court. And then so that's frustrating if you're looking at this program from a results-based analysis. So that's more than you asked for, but
No, it's good to
Right.
refresh on it. Yeah, we still gotta find some ways to help with blight remediation. I mean, it's tough. I mean, we know, been trying to think of ways for a year now and for over a year.
yeah, if we can get court orders, if we can, and I'm talking about demolitions at this point. If we can get a court order that says the city of Manistee has the right to demolish 123 Smith Street, then everyone can come together to figure out how we can finance, how we can pay for that. And I like the taxpayer money to be last option. I like to find, so I wonder if, not to get too far in the weeds, but like the USDA grants, since we're 3 years post-COVID, if those are loosened up, I know we pursued those previous to COVID for a house on Duffy Street, and once COVID hit, all the grants went away. So again, I want to start from a position that we have a legal authority to do something, then figure out how we're going to finance it. That's actually an easier strategy than trying to get the court order for something. So, and we're talking strictly demolitions. I mean, there's other challenges. And, when it comes to blight, people use the word blight, but there's different ordinances addresses. We have a junk vehicle ordinance and a construction equipment on property ordinance. We have a ton of zoning ordinances for open storage that people think is blight, but it's actually zoning. So I understand that we use the term blight, but really there's multiple city ordinances that address blight. So. And with that, I'll be quiet.
I did, this is kind of not blight, but it's the noxious weeds ordinance. I have been kind of seeing a lot more properties letting their yards go. So if you do see yards that are, over 10 inches or, weeds growing all over the houses, let's just make sure we report those on either the app or send them to DPW.
And the process is the DPW sends them a letter, gives them a time frame. If not, the DPW cuts it and assesses the charges onto their taxes, just so we're all clear what the process is. I see a lot in the city right-of-way. I think I feel that more than people's yards. And the city right-of-ways are high-grown. You just kind of feel it more, so.
Which is still responsible of the property owner.
Right, so, same thing there.
Well, the ones that are on 31, a couple really bad. And I said I would get my mower, come down one side just to First Street and then go back up. And Jermaine said that those, at that time, before the 4th of July, had been gotten letters, so I shouldn't. And of course I backed off because I can't interfere with, the city's gonna go in and do it. But they're still there, only they're taller. So what is that? That's over
Well, if you,
5 weeks ago.
well, if you have the addresses, let's check on them.
I'll have the address.
Well, then just
Yeah.
send them over to DPW and
I know we,
see what the status was, yeah.
someone reported that to the police department and, because there were some pallets or something, but we were able to, there's a building on, I'll just say First and 31. And so, again, took us a few hours to figure out what's going on, but, we found out the company that manages that property and they have a local landscaper. So we were able to contact that landscaper and tell them to pick up the pallets and just put them on notice that the overall condition of the building is not where it needs to be, so, yeah.
Okay. Any more on blight remediation?
I'll plant a seed here, just as, I keep hating to say this because of the weather, as we start heading into cold months, into cold weather, just to be clear, it's months away, we have plenty of summer left, but this, I would recommend this group start shifting their focus on policy reform and ordinance reform, to hopefully recommend maybe some changes to city council. There's been a lot of terms that have been thrown around here in the last year, such as, abandoned building ordinances similar to other communities, or the sale of blighted structures, or, I think we should probably shift our focus, because we're not gonna have any wintertime projects, to looking at policy, procedure, and making recommendations to city council to change whatever it might be. So we shift from actually physically doing projects to, okay, let's look at what we can do from a policy standpoint, or from even a financial strategy standpoint, kind of shift our focus that way so that we can make recommendations to city council that they can accept or reject, and then hopefully those get unveiled or, in the spring. So again, just to kind of attack this thing from multiple sides. So that's just a recommendation, and I'll mention the commission.
Maybe we can have just a discussion item on it, and between now and the next meeting, just get a review, like a personal review, read through all the blight ordinances, the sidewalk ordinance, the noxious weed ordinance, and then let's just start that discussion, and then,
So we'll add that to our next agenda.
yeah, yep.
And then just a reminder, August 15th, the revision to the language in our bylaws will be in front of council, August 15th, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm going to be careful and just say a few words. But I did watch that Parks Commission meeting, and I think that we were kind of attacked. And then we started receiving phone calls and we had a visitor. But I don't think that, I don't know, I don't remember us saying that part about permission. So I was like completely in the dark to tell all these people that fly to our house why we were doing it.
I think I missed something.
Yeah, well, I think I missed something too. Because,
So, and if, let's, real quick, is there any public comment?
Yeah, two things.
Okay, go ahead. Well,
One, I talked to Jeff about this weeds on Cypress Street, why he can't have a guy go down and cut them off from 8th to 3rd Street, because they're really, crazy. And the manager was gonna have him go do that. The next thing is about weeds, is on 12th Street, you got Goodwill, they don't cut the outside. Then the planning commission's been calling me about the junk up at the storage bins there, and they don't cut the weeds half the time. Kathy's been cutting from our house down to the driveway, cutting the weeds down, but then they don't cut the weeds down from the driveway down to the highway. And so I've been asking the manager to have the city look at that and cut them down, and then send a bill to them, I don't care. And the next thing is about the T-shirts that you guys talked about. We can check with that place in Parkdale and see what they would charge for, you don't need real expensive ones. Just get some, so you have some idea, because it looks good when you're cutting The weeds and all that, you know, where they see people that are a group, are just a bunch of volunteers. So that would be a good idea too. So we'll check on that.
Okay,
Good, thanks.
thanks, Jim. So good to the order. So I'll go first to respond to what you said.
Thank you.
So in our last meeting, we voted on altering our bylaws to have some leeway on being able to work in the parks. I know last year we had talked about, how we didn't wanna restrict ourselves from being in the parks, but at that time, the Parks Commission was kinda doing their own projects and we were doing our own projects. And we've kinda found that both groups have their own volunteers and the thought was, you know, let's all be one. We're all working for the same goal. We're all, you know, a part of
Yes,
city
I remember
commissions.
that, yeah.
And so having that change to the bylaws was so that way we could share volunteers. We're not taking away from projects, they're not taking away from projects, we're all just being able to share volunteers and we have the ability to have some input on blight or restoration projects in the parks. That was pretty much it.
Okay.
It's really, I mean, we've done a pretty good job so far getting, you know, this volunteer list and we're still gonna be working on it probably for the remainder of this commission, you know, however long it lasts. And that was kind of the end goal of that. I didn't watch that meeting, but I did hear that it was very long. But I'm sure it'll be a
Yeah.
discussion next Tuesday, but that was the intention, was so that way we'd be able to share volunteers and
Okay.
be a part of projects.
Are they not wanting us to, like, are they not wanting to work hand in hand?
I think there is a perspective that was thinking that we were gonna be controlling their projects,
Excuse me.
and I don't think that's very accurate. I think it's more so that we're just offering a hand,
Right.
I think we just wanna collaborate with them.
and we wanna collaborate, and that was what we talked about before, when we were creating the bylaws. If you remember, so we even tweaked that section, from the ordinance to say that we shall, I can't remember what it actually said, but before it had like a line in the sand, no matter what, you can't be in the parks, and then we kinda amended that to be a little bit softer, and then now, you know, we have both groups are being, you know, successful with volunteer projects, so I think it's the time to, you know, start working together on that was my intention at least, and I think what Jermaine and city manager and even our discussions in the past were all like that as well, so.
That's the way I understood it too, because I wanted to do something up in our park. This thing needs
Yeah, and
painting, I got the paint.
And if we do wanna suggest something like that, the whole point is now, we're still not gonna go and just do it in the park.
Right.
We're still gonna say, hey, this would be a good idea, now let's bring this to the Parks Commission and see what they think.
Let's see if we can all work together. to do
Exactly,
that.
exactly.
That's all we're saying is collaboration, working together and.
And in preparation, so in the last meeting, I did talk about, getting with the Parks Chair, Liz Lasky, to, kinda tell her what we're doing, and I did do that.
Did you? Okay.
And that was prior to their Parks Commission meeting, and I
Okay.
had a really good conversation, and she seemed like she was all aboard with the same ideas, and they had said that they actually don't even have a list of volunteers, and so this is probably gonna benefit them, which is great. And we also have, you know, we've established waivers with the city attorney, we've established kind of our process of getting the waivers signed with these volunteers, and I think that city staff wants us to, you know, go through that process for all the volunteer projects.
You're right. There was, like you said, there was another item that they took whether right or wrong, that everything was gonna go through us first. And that's what made them a little upset.
Yeah, I would, this commission has its lion's share of work ahead of them as far as blight policies and programs, so even if this commission wanted to, I don't think there's room or time for us to encroach on the parks at all, but the way it was explained to me was, it gives us latitude to collaborate with them on some of their projects potentially, so.
Right.
Yeah,
Are they in charge of the East Lake Park as well? That group, or is that
City.
a completely different?
yeah, just the city of Manistee stuff is,
Okay.
Cause we'll probably be helping on, that new park when it comes in.
Morton.
Yeah, because it's probably gonna be in September. Uh-huh. Lot of equipment to put together.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be great to collaborate with them.
That would.
And honestly, that
Since-
park is probably the park that probably needs the most facelifting, so.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's totally a Parks and an RBC
project.
project. I mean, we could, whenever we hear about that project happening, maybe we could go over there and touch up the sidewalks and, public right away and
I
that
think that
kind of,
Liz come and speak with us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
That would be great. That way we all be on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, I just got a cramp.
okay.
On a different note, did we ever make any decisions or call around on the spring cleanup thing, if we were gonna do an extra day a month for a large item or any of those things?
So I did talk to the city manager about that, and I know he brought it up in the last council meeting, but I don't think there was any movement on what was gonna happen quite yet. And even from our discussion, I remember we both liked the spring cleanup idea and the twice a month.
I think it came
Bulk
down to
item.
money, though, we were
Yeah.
just looking to price-wise.
And he did get that, the city manager did get that.
Okay.
Maybe you could share that with us or something
Yeah.
on their next meeting.
We can do
We
that.
make a decision.
To see what our recommendation would be. Okay.
And then do I need to, ask permission for the project idea that I have for September? How do I go
Probably
about
tell-
that?
Tell everybody what it is and then.
It's just on the corner of Sixth and Davis, just past the church's parking lot there. All of the sidewalk is really overgrown, and that could really use some edging there and down the Davis Street area. That's very overgrown, so I just figured.
Perfect.
we
We'll
could-
continue what we didn't get to when we did the church projects then.
Okay, perfect.
so it's basically like a sidewalk right-of-way project?
Yeah, and it's like the sidewalks, it's all kind of overgrown and stuff. We're gonna need spades and then that edger if we can, and I don't really
A
think.
lot of yard waste bags.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Yeah.
really gonna take all that long, truly, depending on how many people we have, but.
Sure.
And then I don't know, do we need to kill the weeds first? Like, do I need to go
It's the easiest way.
the week ahead of time? Cause that's kind of built up too, so we're still gonna wanna take a spade to it and level it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So, is that okay? Do I need to talk to the church?
I think we would, it would probably be best to put like a notification out if we were gonna be doing that.
Okay,
Just because people might not like that in their yard.
You're talking about weed chemicals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably steer clear of those, just to avoid any kind of conflict.
We do, our mechanical edger works very good.
it does, okay.
It's- yeah,
'Cause
it's-
that
we've-
Davis Street area is
Oh,
very, very
Yes.
overgrown, so.
It'll be a lot of work, but a lot of the shoveling is actually gonna be topsoil, I'm sure, so.
Okay, and then who would I talk to at the church?
You just call their,
Just call?
just call right on Sixth Street and
Uh-huh.
they'll talk to you.
Okay, sounds good.
The church for volunteers, or?
Just to let them know what we're doing, and then if they
Okay.
have anybody who wants to volunteer, they're more than welcome,
Gotcha.
you know.
Okay. But we're sticking to city property, we're sticking to sidewalks and the right-of-way, right?
Yep.
All right. That'd be great to see them chip in and help out, and
My thought
I-
was kind of like, why wouldn't anybody?
We've already been down that path.
Yeah.
it's summer,
One, because my husband's dad goes there, so
Yeah.
maybe he'll.
Okay.
well, it's tough because it's summertime and it's, beautiful outdoors and we're asking people to volunteer their time. So there's a lot of challenges with that in the summertime, sure.
And then is there like a paper copy of the waiver? Do we have that on site then, so new people?
Yeah, it's in Jermaine's truck.
Okay, perfect.
Or yeah, American.
And this is a waiver for volunteers or?
Yeah, didn't we have to sign a waiver? or have
Yes.
them sign? Okay.
Okay.
Mary,
Yeah.
maybe if you get something.
We have that. So if you could just figure out a scope and then, like I said, like a list of tools that we need for that project, so it would certainly help me. Our tools are stored in a place that only the police department has access to. That's why it's kind of challenging.
How far was the project that you said? 6th Street from 31 to Davis, or?
No, it's just from their driveway where they do like the Feeding America truck in that parking lot.
Okay, so
just
it's
around
Hopkins,
that and that
just
down.
that block then, okay.
Yep.
Is my thought on that too is maybe if it was like the whole neighborhood there, maybe we could write a letter
I
and
mean,
send it
it's-
to that neighborhood.
It's possible that a couple people do help out who live across the way, you know what I mean? 'Cause
That might be a thing where we broaden it and say, we're gonna be in the area, come
Yeah.
on down. Yeah, sure.
Jess, could you get like a draft,
Sure.
like a letter that we could hand out to that neighborhood, and then
Do you
maybe that's a
live
way
there?
for us to target some volunteers and have, expand on that project.
Is that where you live, Jess?
No, well, I'm on the corner of Sixth and Lynn Court, so the other side of the highway. But I go that way to go to work.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sounds good.
I was like going to work one day and I'm like, maybe that's a project.
Certainly a lot of that in town. so,
Yeah.
You'll never run out.
No. Okay. Anything else, Jess?
I don't think so.
Mary, do you have anything? Kathy?
All set, thank you.
Chief?
Says more today, thank you.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.